What's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to another Unofficial Therapy podcast. It's been too long. Thank y'all for being here. I miss y'all. I want to first give a shout out to everyone celebrating Easter and Passover. Happy Easter. Big ups to my family in Florida doing the Easter thing. I saw the pictures on Facebook. Y'all look very nice going to church. Some of y'all, it's the last time y'all gonna go until Christmas. But I appreciate y'all being out there, looking nice, giving it up for whatever you believe. This is a time of year for people to come together as a family, catch up and reminisce and all that good stuff. And I'm a big proponent of family time where you have the chance to do it. So enjoy your families while you have the time, because you never know when they may not be here anymore. And I know a lot of people complain about kind of organized functions like this. Like, I got really into Passover this year in terms of a lot of my clients are Jewish. I didn't know really what Passover was for real. And I can admit ignorance on that. But a lot of my clients are. And they were telling me about where they meet, the prayers they do, the food. And it really was like, oh, that's kind of cool. But for the most part, to a person, they were all kind of like, yeah, I got to do it. And it was really begrudging, which surprised me because, from what I know about Jewish people, they're very much a unit, very tight collective. So it threw me off that it was such a chore to get together and celebrate. But whatever. Enjoy it while you have it. This is a great time of year. So, be thankful you even have family or a place to go to. That's my little PSA for y'all people. This is going to be an interesting podcast because typically I don't really talk about anything I don't think too controversial, right? I'm doing an interview or I'm just kind of giving you guys what my 2 cents is on something. That's really the point of a podcast. This is the first time I'm going to delve into a topic that might get me into a little bit of trouble, but I don't really have a particular take on it. It's just more, this came up this week, and I thought it was interesting, so I'll bring it up. So I have a client who's very, I'll just say pro-black, and you can take that for whatever you think it means. Like we got to band together as a community type person. Like everything they say kind of is about that, which is fine because I'm black and I believe that we should get together and support each other and do all that. So it doesn't really affect me either way, but they're maybe more outward about it. And the conversation about Hollywood came up because obviously I'm aspiring to be in Hollywood. And her as a woman, her take was, I'm tired of seeing these high-level black actors not be dating black women. And I'm not going to lie to you, I don't really know who a lot of people in Hollywood are dating. I don't really do gossip stuff. I don't tweet. So I don't really know what the game is, unless you're like, at a red carpet premiere holding your girl's hand. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, he's with so-and-so. But I didn't really know who people were dating. And so I asked her to expound on it. And she was, the guy from Luke Cage, Michael B. Jordan, this dude from Insecure. And she just went through like probably 6 or 7, fairly high up black people. And her take on it was, I don't mind if they date outside the race. My issue is that they're on TV talking very pro-black and pro-movement and pro all that, and then they're dating someone, and usually it's someone white, but I think some of them are just like light-skinned Hispanic people. But they're just not black. And so her issue was really towards how come this isn't a bigger issue, or how come every time a black guy gets big, he just kind of strays from black women. And, I couldn't really give her a good response for a number of reasons. One, I'm not famous for real. I know I got like 30 listeners, and I appreciate all y'all. But I'm not famous for real. And I've never dated a white girl. I know that's a surprise to some people, but I never have. So I don't know what the allure is, because it's not something I kind of get behind. But I'm also a fairly nuanced person. I think you can paint a broad stroke. I remember when basketball was kind of popping off, and you saw these NBA guys with white girls, and I was like, every time a guy gets money, he dates a white girl. But I think it's not true. It's just a lot of high profile people. If you look at overwhelmingly, I think a lot of them do date whatever they are. I think if it's a Latin basketball player, he dates a Latin woman. Black dudes mostly date black, whatever. And so it did get me thinking, though, because I was trying to think who, as a fairly young, prominent black male actor, is dating someone black. And I really can't name any. And if y'all know somebody, please let me know. Because it did make me think, is it a matter of preference or is it a matter of industry? Because we all know that the industry kind of moves people in certain ways. Like, we've all seen actors and actresses that were just put in a bunch of roles all of a sudden that you can obviously tell that Hollywood wants to make a star. Like, we want this person to be famous. They're probably connected a certain way, maybe related to a certain person. You just see the same person like 3 or 4 movies at a certain time that maybe you're like, they're not even that good. Why are they in so much stuff? It's just like that's the beast, right? That's what Hollywood is. The beast of Hollywood is moving someone a certain way. And I don't know. I do think because I'm black, I do think there is some fear of some kind of revolution of blackness. I don't know how how preoccupying it is to people who are that high up, like not Harvey Weinstein, but people of his ilk in that level. I think there is some idea that, if Issa Rae and Donald Glover and, all these people get together and kind of start their own stuff, could they create a secondary Hollywood, or could they kind of take over where traditionally white people are? I think that's something, but I don't know how prevalent or how preoccupying it is. But I can't dismiss the fact that may be a way of Hollywood saying we'll accept you, but only to a certain degree, right? So it's like, yeah, you're a young, prominent black person. We like what you're doing, but hold your horses. You're not gonna go all the way. I guess I could equate it to any kind of minority group getting rights. It's like, yeah, we'll give you some rights, but you don't get all the rights that someone who isn't a minority was born with, right? Like, oh yeah, we'll let it be legal here, or we'll pull back on legislation here, or whatever, but we're not going to just give it all up. You got to keep fighting and grinding to get all the rights you want. And so I found myself defending the dudes, even though I don't know them. I don't know their preferences. I don't know if they've always dated outside the race, or if they dated black women forever and ever and ever, and then they got famous and said, well, I can't date whoever my black girlfriend is because Hollywood won't accept me. I don't know how deep it is. I don't know if it's insidious or if it's just coincidental. But she named a number of dudes whose lives that I was surprised she knew so much about. But I don't think it's purely coincidental. So then I guess the question then becomes, like, are we still at that point as a nation, or in this case as an industry, where we can't have, I don't know the guy's name, the guy from Pacific Rim. I think he was in Star Wars too. Something Boyega or something like that. Like, can we get to the point where he's dating someone like Lupita, and then they're just on the red carpet as this power young, under 35 black couple, and we just accept them as that and let them ride out? Are we still not at that point where we can do that because the visual is weird, or because that's an affront to what the status quo is, or whatever? I don't know. But it was an interesting point to bring up. And then the conversation switched because I was defending the guys. She, as a black woman, is a very pro-black woman. And so I tried to make the conversation a little bit more nuanced, as opposed to all these young black dudes date outside the race, mostly white girls. I try to switch it from that because that's more or less a non-starter, right? So the conversation then became, is it possible to date outside the race and still hold the values of the culture true? Could I still stand and march with you and still promote black stuff and then go home to a white girl? Is that possible? Can you do both? Or are you living a double life? Are you being disingenuous? Or can you actually navigate both realities? I don't know. Again, I never dated a white girl, so I don't know, and I'm not famous yet. So, but I don't know if you can navigate both. But I would like to believe you can. And listen, there's probably some dudes in the industry who feel I can only be accepted if I date a white girl because of the color of my skin. I think that's probably true. And I think there's probably some who met a white girl who were like, this girl has held me down when I was acting in the back of a Dunkin' Donuts on Tuesdays in Santa Monica, and then I got big and she was there from the beginning, so that's my girl. I'm not going to leave her because I'm famous. And then I think it's somewhere in the middle too, where it's just like, the higher you go up in Hollywood, I don't know how many young black women are popping in Hollywood to be like on that level necessarily. You know what I'm saying? So is it possible that they got to that level of fame and the only people around them were people who didn't look like them? And so they just dated people in that strata. And so they ended up being someone who wasn't black. But I don't know. We all know people. It's almost like someone like Martin Luther King, right? He's revered by our community and revered by most people, right? He lived a very prominent life, short-lived but very impactful. And a lot of people, he has his own holiday as a person. That tells you how big he is. But we see him as being virtuous because he wouldn't, he turned the other cheek, he didn't fight back and that kind of thing. But it's well documented he was a philanderer and he cheated on his wife, right? I think he even had a kid or two out of wedlock. So it's like, could he be this God-fearing pastoral, help my brother up as a nation come together and then like go on the road in Birmingham and sleep with some other girl? Because that's what happened, but that's like a footnote in his story. We don't talk about it. It doesn't come up initially. If anything, we still give credit love. But I mean, if someone was really trying to like tear him down, it seems like a reasonable position to have. It's like, this is the same guy that told you God first and turn the other cheek and do the right thing and be virtuous. And it's the same guy cheating on his wife with kids at the house. How's that guy virtuous? And it would be hard to really refute what they're saying because we know that's the life he was living. And so if we could, push that to the side for someone like MLK, I don't know why 50, almost 60 years later, we can't, or is it possible to do that now? Because I do believe there's some dudes, I know, I got friends, black guys that date white girls who I feel like are as pro-black or as, as down, if you want to use that phrase. I don't know if people still say that. Damn, my brother slapped me some skin. They're just as down as someone who's like, I went to HBCU and married a black woman. And I also know there's some black dudes who, there's some self-loathing there. And they don't love the color of their skin, or they feel like their life is made better by dating someone that's not black. So I know both sides of it. And because that nuance exists, I think there has to be some people in this industry that feel that same way, right? I don't know. Let's just use Michael B. Jordan because he's probably the most prominent young black dude out there. I don't know Michael B. Never met him. I'm a fan of his work from Friday Night Lights to Fruitvale, Fantastic Four. Gross. We skipped that. But Creed, all that stuff. I'm a fan of his work. And I've never seen him be out of pocket in interviews and stuff. To be fair, I'm not really looking for him to disappoint me, I guess. But I feel like if he's dating somebody white, I think that's his choice. I mean, he still lives with his parents and they're both black, so it's not like he doesn't appreciate what that union was that made him. He still stays with him, right? He didn't move out, shack up in Malibu with some white girl and just dead his folks. I never see him doing some like anti-black stuff. I never see him not holding us down. And so I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt personally, even though I'm not where he is, because I feel like he does everything else right. So then I guess we have to get into the how much do you need to do for it to outweigh that part, right? Is it like I got to be a Colin Kaepernick type activist dude to then go date whoever I want, or do I need to be like in a Spike Lee joint, get an Oscar nomination, then y'all just kind of let me ride? Or can you never let it go, right? Is it a situation where every time you do a movie, let's say someone like Nate Parker, right? Birth of a Nation, Red Bugs or not Red Bugs? The Steven Spielberg movie where he was like a pilot or whatever. Just someone at his level who's, did a movie as poignant as Birth of a Nation, I think he's dated or is with a white girl. Like, is that movie not worth some latitude? Like, do we still hold him to the same standard? I don't know. This is just things I'm putting out there. I'm sure you guys will listen and debate this amongst yourself, but I do think it's a conversation worth having. And then it brings me mostly to this last point. And that's, should it even matter if you do? Because I recently wrote a little skit, and it has to be revised. It's not perfect yet, but it's a skit that mostly revolves around black representation, and I'm proud of this skit. I think it's maybe the best thing I've written, but it's also not done yet, so it's not a finished product. But I think it matters, the visual, and I think to a large degree the reason why as a community we love Barack so much, and is a lot to do with Michelle, right? I think it's seeing him out there with her, proud, and she wasn't some 110-pound Calvin Klein model black girl, right? She's built like, if you wrote a stereotypical black woman, that's more or less how she's built, like from the hair to the hips to all that stuff. And it was like, not only do we got a president who's mixed, but he's mostly black, I guess, like complexion wise. But look at this girl, like she's what a strong black woman is. She's educated. She's a good mom. Like she speaks her mind, but she holds her man down. Like a large part of why we like Barack is because of her. And seeing that visual for 8 years, like them coming on, meetings and ovals type stuff and like family functions was nice to watch. But I wonder if he didn't have a black wife, would his presidency have been so beloved? Even if he had, let's say, like an Asian wife, not even white, let's just change the black-white thing. Let's say he was married to like a Filipino woman. I wonder if he would have been as accepted. He maybe would have got more Asian support because it's like, oh, cool, we got somebody in the White House too. But I do think there would have been a segment, and maybe a big part, that would have been like, he got to the White House, but of course he did it without, he used our support to get there, but he's not holding us down because people see him around the world, not with a black person. And so aside from like that level of it, if the dude from Luke Cage, I don't know his name, Mike Collier or something like that, he's a big black dude. I think he's a good actor. I love Luke Cage personally, the show. I saw an interview and they were like kind of pressing him about it. Like, okay, we were the white woman, blah, blah, blah. And he was more or less to the point of, why does it matter? And I don't know how many times he's been asked the question. It's possible this is the 100th time they've asked him. And maybe he answered it 99 times perfectly. I met her when I was younger. She held me down. I love her. We have kids together. I'm riding with her. Or even something even more simplistic. Listen, man, she's a beautiful girl. It didn't matter to me that she wasn't black. And so we got together. Get over it. It could have been that, that down the line. But in this situation, he was more like, well, how come, like, I think someone found out he was with someone white. Not because he didn't have her on the red carpet. They, like, did some research or something. And it's like, well, why didn't you put it out there while you were doing Luke Cage? And he was like, why does it matter if I'm not hiding my life. It's just, it didn't pertain to the work I was doing. And then it became kind of contentious between, why does it matter if I am or I'm not? And you say I'm hiding it, but I'm just trying to, do I not deserve some privacy? Why? Because I'm a black superhero, I got to do this and that. And it was just, and I guess I can kind of see both sides of it. Because I am black, we have this burden in our community. I think it's to a large degree self-imposed, where a popular or famous black person somehow represents the whole. Right? We don't get to be separate from what our figures are. And I think other communities can do that. Like you can have, let's say someone like Jack Black. Oh no, Jack Black's all right. Say someone like Shia LaBeouf. I'm a fan of Shia personally. I know he's got his own issues and demons and stuff. But I think he's a good actor. I would like to see him in more stuff. I just hope whatever he's battling, he gets through it. But Shia has done some really outrageous stuff, especially in the last 5 years. Since Transformers 2, he's been kind of on whatever path he's on. But Shia doesn't represent all white people. He doesn't even represent all Jewish people. In fact, I never even hear him really associated with them, except that his name is very Jewish, right? So that's the luxury he has. He can be self-destructive. He can be a train wreck, and it doesn't affect the whole of white or Jewishness. But if someone like, I guess, who's his counterpart? I don't know. It's not a good comparison, but let's say someone like Terrence Howard, famous black dude or whatever. If Terrence flew off the handle and did something, that reflects poorly on the rest of all of us. And it's like, black Twitter and IG and everything. We all got to comment on it. Everyone has an opinion on it. Everyone's got to talk about it. And then we have to like, are you pro Terrence or should we just like dead him and like throw him out to the wolves? Like it can't just be, oh yeah, Terrence had a bad day, and then we just move forward. It's how do we as a community feel about what Terrence did? And I don't know if other communities have this thing. I don't think they do. And I don't know how we did it. I don't know if it's just the power of blackness. Like I don't know, we're that, infectious, or we're that, like, I can't call it. I mean, I was born into this. But I do think it's something that excludes us from everyone else. And so when we see someone like Dennis Rodman on TV talking about Kim Jong-un and being, just flippant about our policies and stuff, it's like, if someone don't get this ignorant black dude off TV, like it makes us all look dumb. As opposed to, other people who they can do what they want. And so I think overall we should be at the point where it doesn't matter who you date. It shouldn't. Like if we're really like being, I guess, progressive, for lack of a better word or whatever, it shouldn't matter. But because of our community, it does. And it's almost like the whole thing about credibility. It's a big thing in our community. And so when I was a kid, being called like Steve Urkel or Carlton was like the biggest insult you can call somebody. And both those guys are full black, right? They're not even like light skinned for real. Jaleel White's a little light skinned, but not really. And it's because you're not seen as being like a credible black person. It's like Carlton was a smart kid who wanted to go to Ivy League school. Ideally, you want your kids to aspire to something like that. You want your kids to want to be smart. You want them to want to go to good schools. He did ridiculous dances and he wore cardigans, so I guess maybe I don't want my kids doing all that. But being called that was insulting because you were seen as less credible. Everybody wanted to be like Will. Like, oh, I'm from the streets of Philly. I kind of wear flamboyant stuff. I get the honeys, yada, yada. That was the dude. Even Jazz was more popular, and all Jazz did was get tossed out of the house. But there's something to that. And I think that's the same thing is true today. Like there are performers now who, like the fact that Drake has made it to where he's made it to is amazing to me. Because I remember when Drake kind of came out, people said, a lot of dudes like, man, Drake corny, man, light-skinned dude. Like, yeah, he trying to sing for the ladies. And then he just kind of kept doing his thing. He didn't really seem fazed by the hate. He just kind of kept moving forward. Then at a certain point, you had like hard dudes out there singing, Hotline Bling and stuff. And so he won. He pretty much just wore you down for like 7 years until you just accepted his corniness as cool. And then now Drake is like the most popular dude at what he does. But if he didn't have that resolve or the right people handling him, or if that wasn't really who he was, he probably would have switched up and tried to be like the opposite. Like just this real hard, like, yo, I'm from the streets. I clap back on people, yada, yada, but it would have been disingenuous and it would have probably ruined his career. So we may be the only community left where this really matters to this level. But I don't know if it should, but it does. And if you see a prominent black dude not with a black woman, there's some trepidation there and there's some lack of acceptance there. And it's like, damn, he was a strong brother doing all this stuff, but of course he's not with one of us. And it's a sad reality. I don't know how we really got to this point, but I do think it's something worth talking about. Because I think if you ask a lot of those people how they feel about black women, they'll tell you complimentary things. I don't think it's overwhelmingly like this disdain for them. Like, oh man, black girls are ugly. But I don't think it's like some Uncle Ruckus type stuff. I really do think it's my mom, my sisters, my aunts are tremendous women. I hope my daughter grows up to be like them if I have one. I think it's really complimentary. It's just when it comes to dating, it just doesn't happen. I don't know why that is. And is that progression? Like we don't feel the need to stay within our race as much? Because obviously I know a lot of white girls out here in these streets, not with white dudes. Asian girls are branching out. I know Middle Eastern girls doing the same thing. So it's happening slowly but surely. We're all kind of like becoming hybrids and kind of, mix and matching genes and stuff. But it's an interesting thing. And if you guys have any takes, please hit me up after the show. But where I come down on this is I like seeing black represented well because that's what I'm trying to do. So if I feel like you're infringing on our growth in that respect, then I have an issue with it. I don't care who Michael B. Jordan dates, unless he came on TV and said something to the effect of, "I don't think I could have made it in my career with a black girl by my side." Then I'm like, all right, now you're tearing black women down, so that I got an issue with you. But if he met this girl and it was righteous and he just got with him, it doesn't really bother me. As long as he keeps doing good work, I think it makes us look good. Obviously, if I was a black woman, I'll probably feel a little salty because I guess in that story kind of get replaced. But I don't really care. Just don't embarrass us and don't make it seem like black women are like not desirable, because they are. They're tremendous women. Like strong, beautiful, educated. Like they're the fastest growing educational group. And they hold you down, man. I can't tell you how many cousins and like aunts I have that held down dudes who you probably shouldn't have held down through all types of stuff. They could have just been like, "Man, I'm out," but they were there, man. From jail time to like loss of employment and stuff, they were really there for them, and I think that's something that's indicative of our community. So I think black women are tremendous, but I'm a black dude, so I know the propensity for dudes to just kind of sleep around and stuff and do whatever is whatever. But as long as you don't make us look bad, you go out and keep doing good work, and I guess don't sell out. And by sell out, I mean if you're a black dude and all you do is go to events with only white people to try to fit in, I probably have an issue with that because of the way it looks. It seems like you're trying to do them. Now, if you're trying to go into where they are to integrate it and then kind of like break it open, maybe you can kind of make that argument. But if it's I'm going to go to the club and I'm going to do everything you guys do and try to like leave my blackness at the door, that bothers me because you can't take that off. I don't care how well you speak. I don't care how tight your dockers are. You can't take that stuff off. So as long as you be true to the people that raise you, to your folks, to your siblings, to your kinship and all that stuff, then do what you want. But I do think there is a perception, though, that's maybe not completely unfounded. And there's definitely a thing out there that does seem like there's a number of prominent black dudes who I can't say stray, they just go in a different direction. And I don't know the psychology behind it, but I do think it's a thing. So let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys once again for tuning in, though. As always, subscribe, repost, tell your friends, whatever. Let me know how you feel about it. And I will see you guys maybe like a week from now. Deuces.